following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Let me just say, after View distorting the belt to proclaim me the real world champion, I'm going to tell you all, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza live on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. And, of course, we are powered up by Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Network of podcasts. Make sure you check out Belly Up Sports for that list of podcasts. We've got a great group of guys and gals that are very informative, a lot of fun. And, again, check that lineup out. Also, check out bellyupsports.com. For our list of authors of all the articles that we've got up on the network. We've got a great group of writers as well, talking about everything from the Major League Baseball playoffs, NFL, fantasy sports, you name it. Hockey starting up next week, NBA starting training camp. It's that time of year. Everybody's going to start getting together, and all four seasons are going to overlap here in the next couple of weeks. So, again, we welcome you. We are again powered up by Belly Up Sports, and, of course, we are sponsored, as always, by SeatGeek. Make sure when you check out SeatGeek.com, use the promo code Captain Lou for $20 off your first purchase. Some great seats available. The official secondary market of Michigan and Michigan State football. Michigan, of course, 5-0 heading to Minnesota. We'll talk a little bit about that a little later on. But, again, we're brought to you by SeatGeek and also Javi Coffee. Go to Javi Coffee, just like it says up on the top of the screen. Visit Javi Coffee and use the promo code Javi Coffee and use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. If you like instant coffee and you don't want the mess, I'll tell you, this is great. I've got the French vanilla. Absolutely love it. They've got regular decaf, you name it, salted caramel. So make sure you check out Javi Coffee and use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to be on for about 40 minutes or so. Then I'm going to step aside and join the folks on Belly Up Sports for the network hockey preview show coming up at 8 o'clock. So we got a lot to talk about here this tonight on the network. I mentioned our network of podcasts. We've got some great shows lined up. It's going to be a lot of fun, but we've got a ton to talk about here tonight, starting off with the Lions. How about those Detroit Lions? They went into Green Bay last Thursday, and not only did they win, they won going away. It wasn't even close. 27-3 at halftime. I can't remember. I want to say it's probably been, I want to say 50 years since Detroit went into Lambeau and won that convincingly. I remember when they won 40-0 against Green Bay, and I remember when they won 34-0 in Lambeau against Green Bay. So, but those were back in the 70s. That's how long ago it's been. Detroit, as we all know, has had a very, very putrid past in Lambeau, but now they've won 4 straight against Green Bay. Detroit sits on top of the NFC North, 3-1 at the quarter pole. I know it's early, but the Lions are right there in first place. A convincing win over the Packers, 34-20, 27-3 at the half. Just one of the most convincing first halves of football I've seen the Lions play over Green Bay in quite a few years. It's exciting if you're a Lions fan, that's for sure. So hopefully they can keep it up. And let's see where they're going with that. And I know that they've got some big games coming up yet, including one against Dylan Hebert's New Orleans Saints a little bit later on in the year. We're going to get him on the show later on when they do play the Saints. That's going to be a great show. Check out his podcast. If you like pro wrestling, check out Dylan Hebert's shows. He's got amazing podcasts. So make sure that you check him out as well. So again, we mentioned the Lions. We're going to talk about everybody else in the NFC North, the Packers, the Bears, The Bears, who knows, by Friday morning could be looking for a new coach. Eberflus, I think, is on the hot seat. And after last week, it's going to be pretty ugly. They go 0-4. I think there's going to be some trouble brewing in Chicago. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. We're going to talk Michigan football. Excuse me. Hold on one second. Of course, getting that Lion mug in there. Michigan rolling last week against Nebraska, 45-7. A great win for Michigan. They needed that win. I got to tell you, their non-conference schedule. Did I say 5-0? 4-0. I beg your pardon. I'm going to have to make an adjustment on that at the break. But yeah, Michigan rolls 4-0. Big win, 45-7 over Nebraska. They've got Minnesota coming up in Minnesota this coming Saturday for the Little Brown Jug. They haven't played many people in the preseason. I know it's funny as I was joking with some of my friends this past week, dogging me about Michigan's soft schedule. But you know what? They beat a Bowling Green team that turned around and beat Georgia Tech. So there you go. Bowling Green must be a powerhouse. But all kidding aside, they did not look good offensively in their couple of games, their non-conference games. And then, of course, actually they are 5-0. That's right. They beat Rutgers. So I take that back. 5-0 on the year to start. I don't know why I'm second-guessing myself. It's been it's been a weird couple of days with me at work. And so I'm starting to second-guess myself here on my fun job at, on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. But again, not looking that impressive. But last week they did. They went on the road for the first time all year, 45-7 win. And of course, Michigan State, well, it's it's a bye week for them. They had a tough game against Iowa. Should have won that game. Cade McNamara gets knocked out with a blown out ACL, as we come to find out. He's done for the year. But again, Michigan State couldn't get out of their own way. And quarterback play is, again, the name of the game at Michigan State, amongst other things, on the field, off the field. It's crazy. We'll talk more about that as well. And, of course, we will have our Captain Lou teasers, our teaser contest or whatever you want to call it. If you're following with me this year, I'm 10-4. I know I picked a couple of weeks with 3 games and a couple of 4. So that means we're +6. So if you're betting $25 on each one like I am, you're doing all right. You're up 150. And whenever you're up, that's good. I've got my three teaser picks. I go by my rule where I usually pick 3 games on Saturday, 1 college and 2 pro. Once in a while, I'll talk about Thursday, and I'll have these posted on my social media pages. But that's why I give people a couple of days to make their pick in case the line changes. But 10-4 so far in my 6-point teaser locks. So again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So glad you could be with us here on the show. A lot to talk about. Let's get back to the Lions. The big win against Green Bay last Thursday. Seems like an eternity ago. Now they've got Carolina coming up this weekend. But the Lions first half, great to see David Montgomery back. 3 touchdowns. Again, that's the best I've seen the Lions look on both sides of the ball. Controlled the line of scrimmage. No, I get it. The Packers had Bakhtiari. He's on injured reserve. They had a couple of guys out. But, Detroit with Taylor Decker, he's not 100%. Again, just the play on the offensive line and the defensive line for the Lions has been incredible. And it's no secret that if the Lions are in first place, a lot of the teams that are in first place, it's because of their line play. You build from the inside out, and that's what Detroit has done. Now they've got Carolina this week. Can they keep it going? It's a home game. I don't know if Bryce Young's going to play. I think he's out of concussion protocol. He'll probably play against Detroit. So, he's kind of learning the ropes, if you will. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out on Sunday. One of the things that we talked about with the Lions in the beginning of the year is how can they handle prosperity? And, with that being said, they're in first place, 3-1. Not a lot of teams have picked Detroit to be in first place very often. They, a 3-1 stance. It's been a long time since Detroit's been 3-1. Last time was 2017 when they went to the playoffs and got beat. They got a chance to be 4-1, then they go down to Tampa. Detroit Lion games are now getting flexed. They're going to play Tampa at 4:25 a week from Sunday. We don't see that a lot about Detroit. So, again, new territory for the Lions. Can they keep it up? They got a pretty good chance of going 5-1. Then they got to play a Baltimore team that I think is a little underrated, and I think they're loaded for bear. So that's going to be a fun game to watch there. But first and foremost at hand is going to be Carolina on Sunday, and I think Detroit can keep it going. I think they're a 9.5-point favorite at home against Carolina. That's a lot of points, but it's a home game. I don't bet the Lions games very often. I try to stay away from that. Just I don't know, just a little bit of a personal preference for me, but I just love what they've been doing on the offensive side and getting David Montgomery back. If he can stay healthy, that's the big thing. If Montgomery can stay healthy, they got the 1-2 punch at running back. They're deep at wide receiver now, and especially with Jamo coming back. That's something I want to talk about in a second. But Sam Laporta is another Iowa tight end with the Lions. Made a couple of big grabs on the second drive when Detroit went down to score their first touchdown. He was covered, made that great catch, and then they ended up scoring that opening touchdown and didn't look back. Laporta's through 4 games, he's looking pretty good. He can block and he can catch. He's going to be one of Goff's favorite targets. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. But Jamo is back, Jameson Williams. The NFL reduced their suspensions from 6 down to 2. So he was reinstated. So he's back in the fold. Now, we're going to see how much of a player he is. Now, how much is he going to get involved this Sunday against Carolina? I don't think they're going to rush him in quite yet. I think he's going to see some snaps. He'll get a couple of targets, a few targets. But, boy, it's going to be nice to have a home run threat in Jameson Williams. We saw a little bit of what he could do last year. And, of course, he got hurt and kind of a knucklehead with the gambling. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully he's grown up a little bit in the offseason. In my stance, again, on the gambling is, is it hypocritical? It might be with Jameson Williams and the other guys that got caught. But rules are rules. And if you're dumb enough to bet at your own facility on sporting events when it's posted not to, I got no sympathy for you. So to me, Jameson Williams has to prove that he's smart enough to be a Detroit Lion. When was the last time we said that? Because he's kind of, he's put Detroit in a little bit of a spot already a couple of times. And I just don't know how smart he is off the field. He's got the potential, but he's got to win back the Lions' trust. And a good way to start would be this Sunday. Injuries are a part of the game, but being a knucklehead isn't. And we're going to see if Jamo can stay away from being a knucklehead. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be back in 60 seconds. We're going to talk about the rest of the NFC North, and we'll continue. We'll start dabbling into the Big Ten. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and it's live here on MichiganSportsRadio.com.
It's the biggest game of the year, and your team doesn't have a coach. They don't even have a game plan. You probably aren't feeling very good about their chances. Make sure you're prepared for one of the biggest financial decisions of your life, retirement. Do you have a coach? What about a plan? Set yourself up for success by calling 877-222-8849 and having Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and their team at McIntosh & Associates create your retirement playbook. They'll help you think through taxes, income, legacy planning, and much more. When you're done, you'll have a customized retirement game plan that you can feel confident in. Start planning today with Central Michigan's retirement coaches, Mindy and Nolan McIntosh at McIntosh & Associates. Call 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We're live here on the Belly Up Sports Network, a podcast, and, of course, the Captain Lou Sports Network. We invite you to drop us a line at sweetlou1965@yahoo.com. Tell us what you think, or give us a follow on X, formerly Twitter, at Real Captain Lou, and also Follow us on our Facebook page, the Captain Lou Extravaganza, or my personal page, Lewis Gamlin. It's that simple. We got a lot of shows on the Captain Lou Sports Network. Next week, for the 7th season, we bring back the ACHA Power Play. 1 month into the books for a lot of the teams. The road to Boston starts it started already. Next March, the ACHA has announced that they're going to be going there next year, the year after, and then in 27 and 28 with an option for 26. So it looks like St. Louis is going to be the home for the national tournament for the ACHA. It's great hockey. It's great college hockey. So again, the ACHA Power Play in our 7th season. We'll be back starting next week. We'll have our opening episode. Can't wait. We'll have some coaches lined up, potentially some administrators and players. That's what we always do each week on the ACHA Power Play. All right, we're back here talking some NFC North here real quick as we roll on here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We talked about Detroit at home against Carolina, and then on the road at Tampa, hopefully for them and for us Lion fans to be able to pad the lead. Green Bay, are they going to be able to rebound after that big loss to Detroit? They dug themselves a couple of holes in the last couple of weeks. The game against New Orleans, where they were down 17-0 going into the 4th quarter and found a way to come back in that one. And then were buried by Detroit in the first half, 27-3. I don't know. Green Bay, to me, I have to say, there's a potential. Now, Green Bay's, they lost last week to Detroit, so they're 2-2. Tough loss. Detroit thoroughly outplayed them, but they've got a chance to get well quickly. At the Raiders, who are dysfunctional, at the Broncos, who the hell knows what's going on there. Then they've got home games against the Vikings and the Rams. That's a winnable 4-game streak, if you ask me. Now, here's the thing. How spooked are they going to be after the Lions beat them down and they buried themselves, not able to come back? If they can get out in front early, again, these are winnable games with the Raiders and the Broncos. I know they're road games, but they're winnable. Packer fans travel. And then you've got the Vikings at home and the Rams. By that time, the Vikings might be 1-5. Who knows? The Vikings got Kansas City. So don't sleep on the Packers just yet. They got a potential to go 4-2 or 6-2 with a 4-game winning streak. I truly believe that. So if they do that, then, they're going to be right there in the playoff hunt, and they're going to be knocking on the Lions' door, setting up a rematch Thanksgiving Day, which I think could be incredible. Minnesota, they got a big win. We talked about them this weekend against Carolina on the road. Carolina's one of the bottom feeders right now in the NFC. Now they go home and they take on a Kansas City team that, quite frankly, in my opinion, didn't play that great against the Jets. They were damn lucky to get out of there with a win. Next up for them, as we mentioned, traveling to Minnesota. I think there's going to be some points scored in that game. It's in Minnesota. Please, 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 can we get a break from Taylor Swift for a couple of weeks? It's kind of getting old, But Minnesota could be in trouble too. They lose this game, they're going to be 1-4. And they're going to dig themselves a big hole, because if Detroit does win against Carolina, which is probable, they're looking at a 3-game deficit in the NFC North. And, I look at Minnesota's schedule. Yeah, they got a home game against, or they're at Chicago, which is winnable. Then they get to play the 49ers. Then they go to Green Bay. And I don't know. They're potentially staring at a 2-5 start, 2-6 start. And that's going to be tough for them to come back from. Especially if the Lions, even if the Lions go 4-2, that's, I'm thinking they're going to go 5-1, but if not, that's a 3-game, they're going to be a 3-game deficit. And then the Bears are in trouble. Now, we talked about this a little bit a few minutes ago. If there's anybody on the hot seat right now, it's Matt Eberflus with Chicago. They started out 0-3. I don't know what the hell he was thinking against Denver. Why did they not go for the field goal in overtime to force, Denver to go down at least to, if they kick a field goal, then they're tied. They still get the ball back. Instead, going for it, I just don't understand. This guy really hasn't done anything in Chicago, and I don't understand. Chicago, they got rid of Lovie Smith a long time ago, and it's kind of snake bit them ever since. Matt Nagy had a winning record when he was let go. Not that he was the savior, But this guy's been an ultimate disaster. They play Washington tomorrow night. If Washington beats them at home, Chicago's 0-4. You got a 10-game break. I think you could see a change in Chicago come Friday, especially if they get blown out. Yeah, they get beat and they don't really show any kind of sign of life. I think you could see a change, and I think the Eberflus could be the first one out in the NFL this year. It's a shame, but then you've got to start over with Justin Fields, and they've got a few weapons, but their defense has really played horribly. Their offensive line isn't the greatest. I don't know anymore with the Chicago Bears, and they could be staring at 0-4 tomorrow night at 11 o'clock Eastern time, and then you got to wonder what's going to happen with Eberflus and the Bears, and their season's over. And it's going to be, they're going to lose the locker room. Take it from a Lions fan who's seen enough 0-4 starts and 1-8 starts and this and that. You bury yourself. It takes a special group to come back. And I don't see any direction right now with that coaching staff. And, I don't know if Justin Fields is digressing or it's from the lack of talent. First of all, he's got no time in the pocket. They want to make him a pocket passer. He's got no time at all. So just crazy. I don't get it in Chicago. As a Lion fan, I'm glad because that's one less team we got to worry about. But I think you could see a coaching change there. If they lose tomorrow night, go 0-4, that's going to be rough. NFL disappointments, first quarter disappointments. We were kind of thinking about that a little bit earlier. Just kind of, I think my first disappointment really in the NFL, I look at some of these teams and maybe, again, it's the Chicago Bears. The New England Patriots sit at 1-3. How surprised are you? I mean, they look really bad against Dallas. No, I understand Dallas has got a great defense. I get all that. It's a good defense, I should say. But 1-3, I don't know if there's any direction there. Jacksonville, maybe 2-2. Don't really know about that. I look through the standings. Denver's overrated. And it's funny because you had a guy come in like Sean Payton. Now, Sean Payton comes in and talking crap, dogging on Nathaniel Hackett about what he did last year in Denver before he got let go. And he's got the biggest diva right now in the NFL in Russell Wilson. And, they put up their defense gives up a 70 burger against Miami. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're in 1-3 and they're in last place. And there's chaos there right now. I don't know what's left for them. That I think they're one of my biggest disappointments. You look at the NFC, the Chicago maybe 0-4. Really, those are the main disappointments that I can think of. Jacksonville maybe, a little overrated. Where are they coming into this year? The Tennessee Titans maybe at 2-2. I don't know. Cincinnati, but you might be able to give them a pass. Joe Burrow being hurt, I don't think he's 100%. But, and then as far as the surprises on the good side, Houston Texans, 2-2. CJ Stroud, he's looking pretty good. They're young. They've got, they've got some excitement. CJ Stroud looks like a leader. And he's the 10th highest passing. He's got the 10th most passing yards in Houston Texan history, and he's only played 4 games. So yeah, they're 2-2, tied for first in division. I know it sounds outrageous, but they got just as good a shot right now. Other than that, really, can you call Tampa Bay a surprise at 3-1? I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I hope he keeps it up. The guy gets just blistered in the press all the time. And so I'm happy for him at 3-1. So yeah, those are some of my surprises, but at the first quarter poll. So we'll have to, we'll keep an eye on everything. And, with the NFL with this time of year, it's so much fun to watch, and some big games coming up. The biggest one, of course, San Francisco and Dallas coming up Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. But other than that, the Lions again this weekend, taking on a winless Carolina team. 9.5-point favorites at home. Kind of scary, but a very good opportunity for the Lions to get to 4-1 after 5 games, which would be sweet. And, for a Lion fan, I hope it comes to fruition. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive into college football, and then we will get into our teaser locks of the week. See if you can keep on making money just like me. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza. It's live on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, powered up by Belly Up Sports. Hi, everybody. Captain Lou here. You got your tickets for Spartan Stadium yet for Michigan State playing Central, maybe down the road against Michigan? Speaking of Michigan at the Big House, you got your tickets there for Ohio State or whoever they might play? Well, I've got just the answer. If you don't, that's SeatGeek. They've got great seats available at great prices. You say you might want to go to Penn State later on this year for a ball game? Michigan's going there in November. I highly recommend checking out SeatGeek. They've got great seats, great prices, the best way to go to get your tickets. So if you want to go to Spartan Stadium or if you want to go to the Big House this fall, make sure you check out SeatGeek. And while you're there, use the promo code Captain Lou. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. That's SeatGeek. Use the promo code Captain Lou for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek.com, the best place to go to get your tickets for this fall. Reminder that SeatGeek, as we welcome you back here to the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the Captain Lou Sports Network. SeatGeek is the official secondary market of Michigan and Michigan State. It's very safe. And, for some of those games that you want to go to, like I mentioned, use the promo code Captain Lou. You'll get 20% off of your first purchase. And along with the Lions or anybody else that you want to go see, a concert, you name it, they've got hundreds of venues. Pro wrestling, you might want to go down and watch that. Who knows? But that's SeatGeek, where you can get 20% off of your purchase by using the promo code Captain Lou. And also a reminder that here on our show is brought to you by JaviCoffee.com. If you like instant coffee, if you like coffee in general like me, you don't like the mess, you don't have a whole lot of time, it's simple. You don't have to worry about coffee grounds or anything. You take a teaspoon or two, depending on how strong you want it. Iced coffee, if that's your thing, or hot coffee, boil your water, whatever. Go with JaviCoffee.com. They've got regular, decaf, salted caramel, French vanilla, just to name a few. And when you're at the site, make sure you use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. It's that simple. That is JaviCoffee.com, a regular sponsor for us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We're brought to you here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube and, of course, powered up by Belly Up Sports. Check out bellyupsports.com. Great articles up. Our writers are fantastic. The busy time of year, college and pro football, baseball with the playoffs, the NBA starting up, NHL next week. We've got everything covered in the world of sports. Pro wrestling, you name it. The Ryder Cup, what a disaster for the U.S. this past weekend, is getting embarrassed. Auto racing coming down to the wire. You name it, we've got it. That's on bellyupsports.com. And of course, while you're there, check out our list of podcasts that we've got. We've got a ton of them here on the network. Some great shows that we bring you every week. And of course, don't forget, coming up tonight on Belly Up Sports, our YouTube channel, we've got our hockey preview show at 8 o'clock. Rod Peterson from the Rod Peterson Show is going to be the featured guest, and he's going to join some of us. Yours truly is going to be on there on a panel of so-called experts. We're going to give you our 2 cents on who we think is going to win the Stanley Cup, the divisions, what have you. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope that you get it. When you're done with the show tonight, join us back at 8 o'clock and, have some fun with us there on the network. So, all right, let's get back to talking a little college football here in the state of Michigan. We talked about it at the top. Michigan rolls into Minnesota 5-0 on the year. An impressive win over Nebraska. We were all wondering, Matt Rule, Nebraska, what's at stake here for Michigan? First road test. How are they going to handle the road scene? They went into Nebraska and they took no prisoners. 45-7, the final score. Defense again showed up. Offense showed up. Roman Wilson had a great game. You name it. Pick and choose. Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, and again the defense rolled. Just excited for what's to come with Michigan. I know it's going to get a lot tougher. And, the bottom feeders of the Big Ten maybe aren't as good as some of the other ones, but the top teams are definitely as good as any team in the country. So Michigan with a big win. Minnesota coming up this week for the Little Brown Jug. And if the offense can keep it going, the defense, I'm not too worried about the defense. I think they can contain Minnesota. If the offense can keep it up, I think the Little Brown Jug is going to stay with Michigan, and Michigan will go to 6-0 as they march on towards their first big, a big matchup with, they still got to play Maryland yet. They've got to play Michigan State. I know Michigan State's down, but it's a rivalry game. And then you've got Penn State and Ohio State. So a lot of big games left for Michigan, but this obviously is one that they've got to have to keep that number 2 ranking in the polls. As before long, the college football playoff committee is going to start meeting, and that's when we're really going to start talking about what's going on in the world of college football. Michigan State took on Iowa last weekend, jumped out to a lead at the half. Defense looked good, I have to say. Now, again, Cade McNamara gets knocked out the first series, I think, or right away, blew his ACL out as it comes out. Michigan State got the scoop and score fumble return, a 58-yard field goal. State's got a kicker, which is a blessing for them. But now Michigan State obviously couldn't get out of their own way, blew the lead. Their special teams let them down with the kickoff, or the punt return rather, for Iowa. And Iowa ended up winning by 10 in the late moments of that game, 26-16. Those are the games, if you're a fan of any team, those are the games that are really frustrating because Michigan State had it there. That would have been a big momentum swing for them going into the bye week this week. Now they've lost a couple of straight. They've losing big. They've lost 3 in a row now. Ever since Mel Tucker got fired. Of course, the Washington game, they came to East Lansing and just throttled them. Maryland jumped out to a big lead, and then Michigan State tried to make a comeback. And then last week, of course, couldn't quite do it blew the lead against Iowa. Now they've got to regroup. The big thing going on here in Michigan State's campus, of course, the hearing starting on tomorrow and Friday, the Mel Tucker hearing. He's fired. The transfer portal, the transfer window is open. Now we're going to see what's going to happen here this week. 2 and 3. There's a potential for disaster. One of the things that everybody's talking about here in East Lansing, the quarterback play, the suspect quarterback play. Should they go with a different quarterback? Should Caton Hauser, should he be the quarterback? Should they burn a redshirt year with Sam Levitt? Noah Kim just looks rattled. There's no other way about it. He starts out slow, has a good second half. He has some good points, but he just doesn't look in sync. It's just not there right now for the young man. And I feel bad for him. He's waited a long time to get his opportunity. And with Peyton Thorne gone now, he got it. But, obviously it just hasn't worked out. When he's had time to throw, his throws have been errant. They've got some playmakers. Losing Malik Carr didn't help against Iowa. He's the guy, I think, that when he's healthy, he could be one of the best tight ends in the Big Ten, if not the country, with that 6'6" frame of his. Michigan State's in a world of hurt right now. And then, of course, you've got the Mel Tucker firing the fallout, as we mentioned. All kinds of rumblings right now in the world of sports. And the crazy one that's making the rounds right now in East Lansing is Urban Meyer. Would you really want Urban Meyer as the head coach at East Lansing? And the clown show and the baggage that he brings with him. Now, he says that he doesn't want it. But if Michigan State can throw $9.5 million a year, $100 million at Mel Tucker, what's to say if Urban Meyer said, yeah, I'll do it, but I want $10 to $12 million a year? What's to say Michigan State wouldn't do that? I hope to God for Michigan State they don't do that, for the fans and the alumni. They just got through with one clown show. They don't need this guy. He'll bring some eyeballs, but at what cost? We've seen what he did at Florida. Ohio State, he was successful, but there was a lot of extracurricular stuff. Let's just say that. Let's put the Urban Meyer rumors to rest. It's not going to be him. I'd be shocked, just like everybody else, if it was indeed Urban Meyer. I don't think it's going to be. But so the coaching search is on. Who knows? They're not going to name a coach until the end of the year, because I'm sure there's people that are coaching right now that they want, that they can't get permission to talk to. We'll see. If Harlan Barnett turns it around, he may become the head man. I don't think he's the right fit for Michigan State, but, it's still early. We don't know. And that's going to be the topic that's talked about all year here locally in East Lansing and the Lansing area here in Lower Michigan. And, of course, with the Mel Tucker firing now, the civil suits, it's just getting started. He's fired, but now the Title IX hearing, and, he's going to file a lawsuit. He's going to want part of his contract. Does Michigan State decide to just give him, $20 million and, make him sign a non-disclosure agreement? Then what about Brenda Tracy? Is she going to sue Michigan State or Mel Tucker? It's just, I feel bad again, like I've said in the past, for the Michigan State alumni and the fans that got to put up with this crap. They didn't ask for it. So, all right. And we got a big matchup in a couple of weeks with Ohio State and Penn State with the Big Ten. So that's what we got to look forward to in the coming weeks. The college football scene, wide open right now. You got Georgia, who struggled against Auburn. USC, to me, they have no defense, so I don't think they've got a shot at all to win. They've got the flash, but you got to give it to Deion in Colorado. They made a monster comeback last week against USC, but they crashed and burned the week before against Oregon. And so, their defense is suspect. I just don't see, I think the best bet maybe Washington or Oregon has a better shot at getting into the playoff and being more successful, because I think Washington, to me, their defense is much better than USC's, as is Oregon's. USC supposedly brought a couple of big transfers in. Their defense is going to be better. I haven't seen it. So, I again, it's wide open. You look at Alabama, they still have the gauntlet to go to. They've got to go to Texas A&M yet. They got an Auburn team I'm sure is going to want, loaded for bear. Hey, Kentucky, they're undefeated. We'll see what they're made of against Georgia. LSU is done. They can't stop anybody. Texas and Oklahoma are waiting in the wings in the Big 12. They've got an opportunity. I got to give Sarkisian a little bit of credit. We'll see what he does in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma coming up. But Texas is there. And then, of course, Florida State. They've looked impressive. They've been vulnerable, but they've looked impressive. So it's wide open, if you ask me. Georgia's still the team. Like Ric Flair says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. But I think, Georgia, they're a little vulnerable. It's hard to stay on top. Winning 2 in a row is great. That's something that not a lot of teams can say. Going for that 3rd straight national championship, everybody's giving you their A game. This is their Super Bowl, whatever. This is going to be Kentucky's Super Bowl this weekend against Georgia. This was Auburn's, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And of course, you got Florida, who got thumped by Kentucky this past weekend. They've got to play Georgia yet in the world's largest cocktail party. So there you go. So that's kind of a little bit of a look at college football coming into the next week. We've got some big games coming up in college football. Texas and Oklahoma, we mentioned the Red River rivalry this Saturday, high noon at the Cotton Bowl. Maryland and Ohio State. Maryland's undefeated. They're playing at Ohio State. I still think the Buckeyes are going to win. LSU is ranked still somehow. They play at Missouri. Those are a couple of ranked teams. You've got Notre Dame and Louisville playing Saturday night, I believe, at Louisville. Notre Dame ranked 10th, Louisville 25th. So those are some of the big games. And again, Kentucky at Georgia. Kentucky ranked 20th this week. That's an ESPN game as well. So those are some of the big matchups in college football. All right. We're going to go right now to our Captain Lou teaser lock. We got a few minutes left of the show. We're going to cut it short tonight, probably cut out right around 7:45. But let's get to the Captain Lou teaser challenge. We call it our teaser locks. What we do each week is we do a 6-point teaser for a teaser parlay. We take 2 teams or 2 whatever, single game parlays. This week, that's what we're going to do on our 3 parlays. And we're going to make it, see if we can help you make money. 10-4 over the first 4 weeks. The first couple of weeks were 3 games, and then last couple were 4 games. So if you've been following with me, you're up 6 units. 10-4 plus 6. So if you're like me and you bet 25, you're up $1.50. and that's fantastic. Of course, that's nothing wrong with that. So we're going to keep it going right here. Teaser lock number 1. We're going to go to Buffalo as they're going to be taking on. And I lost my train of thought here on the NFL. Let's get it back up here. The Buffalo Bills. They're going to be hosting the. Oh, for God's sakes! I thought or check that. They're going to be in London against Jacksonville. Buffalo right now is a 6.5-point favorite. You can go money line on this one or at minus a half a point and take the under. I think it's going to be under 54.5. It's an even money bet, which means you bet $25. You get your 25 on top of the 25 you put in. So Buffalo and the under 54.5. I think their defense is really shaping up. I know they've lost. They had a big loss, but they're getting the big guy back this week, the edge rusher, and his name escapes me, but they're going to be back. I'm going to go with that one. Buffalo money line and the total under 54.5 for plus 100. Sunday Night Football. That's number 2. That's teaser lock number 2. San Francisco is a 3.5-point favorite at home right now. You take the teaser lock, you're going to go 6 points. I'm going to take San Francisco getting 2.5, and I'm going to go under 51.5. I think their defense is going to slow down Dak Prescott. The over-under, I believe, is 57.5. So I'm going to go under 51.5. So there you go. It's minus 105, which means that if you put $20, you're going to get $19.50 back. So it'll be like $39.50. So I'm going to go with San Francisco, even though I'm going to go with the minus 2.5 or plus 2.5, under 51.5 for my teaser at minus 105. And finally, talking about Notre Dame and Louisville, they're taking them on. They are a 5.5-point favorite at Louisville. So I'm going to go money line on that one. And the over-under is 55. So I'm going to go over 49 on this one for even money. And so there you go. There's our teaser locks right there. The Captain Lou Teaser Lock Challenge. We talked about it. We're 10-4, 3-1 last week. Teaser lock number 1, Buffalo and Jacksonville in London. Buffalo right now is a 6.5-point favorite. You can get it knocked down to a half a point or money line and take the under 54.5. It's going to be plus 100. Teaser lock number 2, San Francisco. They're right now they're minus 3.5 regular bet, but if you take the teaser, knocks it down to plus 2.5, under 51.5 for total points. That's going to be making it minus 105. I just think they can contain Dak Prescott. They're going to put pressure on that offensive line. A game with 2 good defenses. Brock Purdy's going to be tested. I think he's got more weapons than Dallas. I think San Francisco wins this one outright, but for teaser purposes, 2.5 points they're going to get under 51.5. The line right now is 57.5, so minus 105 there. Or I'm sorry, or the line is 45.5. I beg your pardon. And then teaser number 3, Notre Dame money line, I believe is they're a 6.5 or 5.5 point favorite. I'm going to take Notre Dame money line with the teaser bet. The over-under is 55, so I'm going to go over on the 49 to make it plus 100. So there you go. Those are our 3 teaser locks right there. And we got a lot of football to talk about, a lot of football to watch. And, of course, coming up at the top of the hour, I'm going to be rolling over to Belly Up Sports YouTube broadcast of the Belly Up Sports Hockey Preview Show. I'm going to join a panel of guests, including Rod Peterson from the Rod Peterson Show. Red Wings begin in 8 days at New Jersey. Do we temper our expectations? They finished up with 80 points last year. I mean, everybody's thinking playoffs. Getting the Cat from Ottawa in the trade, I thought they had a decent draft. It's all going to, in my opinion, it's all going to come down to goaltending. Can Husso get us through one more year? Kosa, I don't think is ready yet. I think he's going to play in Grand Rapids for the most part this year. Can Reimer be a good backup to Husso while we wait? That, to me, is going to be the key. I think they're going to have some firepower. The young guys, Rasmussen's got to have a good year for Detroit. I'm excited. I think they're getting closer. The eyes are playing. They're going to be right on the playoff fringe. But I think there's a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference. And I just don't know if I'm ready to put Detroit in the playoffs or a bubble team. Oh, what the hell? They're going to make the last wild card. So there you go. All right. For more hockey, make sure you stick around about 8 o'clock on go over to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. We'll all be there to talk about the NHL season with our Belly Up Sports NHL preview show. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here tonight on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Again, we appreciate everybody for taking time out to join us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is the Captain Lou Sports Network for all the programming we've got. Our ACHA Power Play is back next week. Our first show of the season, 7th year of the ACHA Power Play with the Road to Boston coming up in March. So we got a lot to talk about there, 5 months away from that. And again, follow us on X. I almost said Twitter, on X, at The Real Captain Lou, and our Facebook page, The Captain Lou Extravaganza. All right, until next week, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Thanks for joining us tonight here on the show. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, have fun this weekend. Enjoy the games. Enjoy life. And we'll see you then. So long.